Hello and welcome back to Burning Bones, the hardcore outward run with no armor and only fire damage. The goal of this episode will be to delve into the Chersonese dungeons for some cash to finish this tree before moving on. The first is Montcalm Fort. At this point you know the drill. I run there, I eat food, and I start trying to clear the camp. After safely picking off 2 bandits and then committing animal abuse, I ascended the steps and saw an ice witch. The prospect of interacting with a woman was too daunting though, so I backed down and took a moment to collect myself before creating a plan of attack. The plan? Attack. Overcome with the righteous edicts of the gaming gods. If she breathes, she's a thought. I burn her with holy fire until she breathes no more. Next was the bandit captain. He was quite a difficult foe, so I immediately tried to open with fireball. The bandit captain's AI was too advanced though, and he immediately came up with a countermeasure. He rolled off the steps and got stuck on the level geometry in such a place that I couldn't attack him. Truly, the robot revolution is nearly upon us. After spending a few moments stun-locked by his tactical brilliance, I eventually decided to meet him in open combat. We had a solid exchange of blows until our duel is interrupted by another bandit. I ran back to the Sigil of Fire in order to use Fireball on both of them. I take time lining up my shot to ensure it hits, and in the moment of truth, the sigil disappears, leaving me with only one course of action. Haul ass. Luckily, I'm able to use their expert strategy of getting caught on level geometry against them, buying enough time to place a Sigil of Fire again and finish off the bandit captain and eventually the bandit lieutenant as well. With the bandit camp mostly cleared, I began looting, and once my bag was full, I dropped by Cierzo to sell. I did this once more to get everything I could from Montcalm Fort before I decided to move on to the next dungeon, Ghost's Pass. To prepare for it, I stopped by a nearby cave to learn magic from a monster. Specifically, I learned the Possessed skill. This skill allows me to channel my inner emo boy. More accurately, it gives me the Possessed boon, meaning it increases my decay damage and damage resistance by 20% for a short time. Useful for fighting certain monsters as it makes me slightly tankier. Once that skill was learned, I head over a short distance to begin delving into Ghost Pass. Everything in this area happens to be dead, which is ironically similar to my love life. The ghosts in this game are just silhouettes of the dead highlighted in purple or red who moan a lot. Sorta like pro Valorant gamers because... You know what? Never mind. To proceed through the dungeon, I flame these ghosts like I flame my prepubescent teammates on Roblox freeze tag. Eventually, I reach the exit and eagerly escape Ghost's Pass, freeing me from its stagnant stench, similar to the stench present in the bedrooms of pro Valorant players. On the other side of Ghost's Pass, we make our way to the Cabal Hermit's Tower. Getting this trainer's skills was a side goal of coming here, as they're very good. The place is a bit out of the way, but I understand why he lives here. I mean, the location is beautiful. Between the neighboring graveyard, the wonderful green smog-filled view, the lack of access to fresh water or food, and the monster-infested path back to anywhere remotely near other people. What's there not to love? With that aside, I touch a bird statue and head into the tower. He offers 4 skills, 3 of which are useful, and 1 that tricked me into thinking it was useful. These are Reveal Soul, Call to Elements, Weather Tolerance, and Mana Push. Respectively, the effects of these skills are a skill that allows me to regen mana quickly by stealing the souls of the dead, a skill that gives me a random boon buff based on my current area, a skill that passively increases my environmental and decay resistances, and an attack skill that deals no damage but deals a massive amount of impact. Except that last skill was a complete lie. Instead of dealing no damage as the skill description states, it actually deals 1 physical damage. So instead of being an incredible skill that would allow me to stun enemies off cooldown, it's worthless. Empowered by my new skills and determined to assert my gamer dominance, I go back through Ghost's Pass and challenge the Rusted Enforcer, a very strong and unique enemy. After a long and difficult fight with many close calls, daring strikes, and a general all-consuming sense of panic, I get my ass thoroughly clapped. Thankfully, hardcore in this game just means that there is a chance of permanently dying when I'm dropped like a sack of high calcium potatoes. Luck was certainly on my side this time, but if there is a next time, it'll be another toss-up to see if this run ends in failure. Grateful for my lucky break, I ran all the way back to Cierzo, sold everything, and bought one of the penultimate skills for Kazite Spellblade, Infuse Fire. This skill consumes a warm boon to cause my weapon to start burning. As it currently is, this skill is actually less than useless, considering it consumes a useful buff and does absolutely nothing without the next skill. But it's fine, as it's progress. Slow, tenuous, nigh-mocking progress, but progress just the same. Once my preparations in Cierzo were complete, I headed out to the final dungeon for this episode, the Bandit Prison. When I make it there, a peculiar pearlbird runs past me, one on extremely low HP, which simply squawks at me and then runs off. I then turn to meet a group of 3 bandits within the camp that were chasing the bird, but were now blocking the way to Bandits Prison. So instead of stealthily taking them on one-on-one, I had to fight them all together. I literally got screwed over by a bird. Honestly, I couldn't tell if I was supposed to be impressed or offended. It doesn't turn out that bad though, because after putting down a fire sigil and buffing myself, the fight went well. But the pure audacity of that bird was almost something to be admired. That is, if it didn't cause me trouble. Whether or not I got a chance to exact my revenge on that bird, though, was less important than looting the now almost bandit-free encampment. After avoiding the traps around the various treasure chests within the camp, something I am only wary of after many other playthroughs being absolutely screwed by such things, I turn my attention to the looming and ominous building at the center of camp. Obviously the best place to look for treasure. After hesitating for a moment, due to the memory of being folded like an origami lawn chair still being fresh in my mind, I eventually gave into temptation and entered the Bandits Prison. Within, I am greeted with a dark and foreboding room with some cold particles coming from a cell to the right. I immediately realized that this meant there was a Wendigo there, an enemy which, despite being weak to fire, was arguably stronger than the Rusted Enforcer, as it was faster, it dealt more damage, and it healed itself. Thankfully, the beast was being held back by thin iron bars, an impenetrable defense for a melee enemy such as itself. Intent on cheesing the living hell out of it, I get its attention with a few flamethrowers before getting vibe checked so hard I got sent back to 2019 when that meme was relevant. Terrified for my life, I used 2 firestones to make sure I had to go nowhere near that monster again. When the beast fell from fireball spam, I looted its body and the chest it held the key for before bouncing back to Cierzo, hoping I had enough for the final skill. On the way back, just outside of Cierzo, I saw an old friend, the same bird that ditched the 3 bandits on me outside of the Bandits Prison. Immediately, I was stunned by the prospect that this bird really ran all the way over here by pure chance. I quickly considered my course of action here. I could chase down that bird and kill it, taking justifiable revenge for its wrongdoing. But then I had a thought. This bird had done something incredible. A veritable journey to the west in the hostile wilderness when a mere scratch would have ended it. Instead of running after the bird, trying to end its journey, I should learn from it. I should learn from its ingenuity and tenacious nature, from its desire to continue forward despite the odds, all while being as audacious as ever. Also, I just really didn't give a shit. In Cierzo, I sold everything valuable but came up short of my goal by around 150 silver. Although I wanted to end stream here, I also felt it would leave the episode incomplete, so I decided on a quick beachside walk to acquire the last of the funds needed. I took the shortcut through Cierzo storage to the beach and started collecting all the seaweed, fish, and blue sand I could. The trip was peaceful, with me getting lucky with all the fishing RNG. At the end of the beach, I encountered a mantis shrimp, and in my hubris, I forgot literally how to play this game. I got so damaged from a mob I have killed nearly 100 times that I actually had to use a health potion because I was afraid I'd die. Afterward, I get ambushed by some hyenas, and unwilling to grow a spine and defend myself, I resolve to slowly trot away. That is until this game decides to take pity on me and my pathetic struggle against wilderness enemies. It spawns a mantis shrimp just a short distance away. I remembered what the pearl bird did to me earlier to survive and decided to adopt its strategy, leading the hyenas over to the mantis shrimp and causing them to fight. This strategy worked, and the mantis shrimp killed the 2 hyenas for me. I repay it by burning it to death. Satisfied with what I had learned, I loot the corpses and head back to Cierzo. Eager to be done, I swiftly unload my trip's haul to a few merchants and make more than enough to buy the skill I wanted. With Elemental Discharge, I can now sacrifice my weapon's durability to use a skill similar to a single target fireball. There are, of course, a few differences between the 2 skills, making it better and worse in its own way. Specifically, Elemental Discharge's trajectory and cast time are better, but its mana cost and cooldown are much worse. The best part about Elemental Discharge, though, is that I don't have to stand in a ring like a goober to use it. Finally done with what was effectively a bloated training arc, I look to make use of my new skills on Vendavel Fortress before moving on to the next area, but that will, of course, have to wait till the next episode. Thank you for watching all the way through. If you liked the video, I'd be grateful if you'd subscribe so you get an alert when I make the next part. Whether you do or you don't though, I hope you have a good day.